Hey there, productive people. How's it going? My name is Carter Sirach, and in today's video, I'm going to teach you relations and rollups in Notion. This is something that people are getting hung up on in the comment section a lot. I've seen lots of people commenting and saying, hey, everything was good, but I struggled with the rollups and relations part. And that's totally understandable because when I was first getting started with Notion, this is one of those topics that took a while for me to grasp personally. But once you get it, it kind of just clicks. You'll start to see it and you'll start to, realize how it works. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. But in this video, by the end of it, I have no doubts that you'll be able to use relations and rollups in Notion. All right, so let's get right into it. So just to start things off, let's imagine that we have two databases. And by the way, guys, as I said, I'm going to be jumping into my Notion account. But first, I wanted to start with just a very brief presentation to explain how relations and rollups work. So let's imagine we have two databases, right? We have a books database. Okay, so this is just a table with all of our books in it. And when we're reading our books, we want to categorize them in different ways, right? So each book has its own unique properties. Like this book right here. This book is called The Outsiders, and it's a book about 8 unconventional CEOs and their radically rational blueprint for success. If this was the book that I was adding to my database, or if this was one of the books that I was adding to my database, it would have certain properties that come along with it, right? So these properties or attributes could be things like book title, number of pages, genre. Like this book here, the genre would be like business, the title would be The Outsiders, and the number of pages, well, let's see, the number of pages is 250. So with that being said, like that book has its own row in our database, and each book would get its own row, right? So we'd be able to add as many properties as we want to describe what this book is. Now, where relations and rollups come in is connecting one database with another database. So let's imagine that there's a second database now, database 2, and this is our notes database. So why would you have a notes database and a books database? Well, it would be useful if you could connect those two things, right? If I have my Outsiders book here and I wanted to connect a specific note page in Notion to it, so that I can keep track of my notes on the Outsiders, that would be really useful, right? If I could have a separate database that's just all of my notes. You don't want to kind of merge these two. So you would have this second database, notes, and this notes database has its own properties as well. It would have a note title. Maybe you have tags for your note. Maybe you have a date that you took the note, right? Maybe you want to be able to sort your notes by the date that you actually took them. So this is what that would kind of look like, right? I'm going to move my face here because I'm kind of in the way, but you'd have one database that's like books and then one database that's notes. Now, normally these two are kind of isolated from each other, but if you wanted to connect them, that's where relations and rollups come in, right? So what you can do is with a relation, you could take a book title and connect it to a note title or a note row. So each row in your database can be connected with another database. So my Outsiders book here would be connected with an Outsiders note. All right. And rollups are pretty similar, right? So you need a relation to create a rollup. Once this relation is made, now I can roll up different information within these different databases. So let's say I wanted to pull tags into my books database alongside this book title. So this book title would have the note next to it, and it would also have the tags for that note. And that's where a rollup comes in. So that's just pulling over tags into this row as well. So a relation connects two rows within a database or within two separate databases. And then a rollup would allow you to bring over other attributes or other properties from that specific table that you're referencing and add them to your book title row. So just to make this a little bit more solidified and allow you guys to understand this a little bit better, we're going to jump into Notion now. And I'm going to show you guys how to create this exact setup where you have a books database and you have a notes database. All right, so here we are in Notion, one of my favorite places to be. So we're starting out here with a blank page, and I'm just going to call this page our books and notes page. Okay. And to start this off, we're just going to create 2 pages inside of this page. So I'm going to hit slash and type page. Then we're going to hit enter. That'll allow you to create a new page. And you can see from the breadcrumbs up here that we have books and notes. And then within that, we have an untitled page. Now let's name this one books. Okay. Not Bocos, books. And here you're going to want to select a database type. So we're just going to go with a normal table. And at this point, it's going to ask us if we want to connect these books to an existing database that we have in Notion. But we want to create a new database for these books. So I'm just going to click on new database. This is going to start looking familiar. This is going to start looking like that presentation that I showed at the beginning of the video. So the book is going to have a title. So I'm going to change this first property here to book title. All right, so now we've got book title. Next, we're going to add genre. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this to genre. And instead of multi-select, we're going to change it to a single select. And at this point, we can add different genres in here, like business or self-help, fiction. All right, I think you guys understand how that works. So you've got your book title. Let's just say The Outsiders. And the genre is going to be business. And then lastly, we're also going to add a property for page number or number of pages. So we'll rename this to number of pages. And we can put something in here like 250. All right, so now we have our title, genre, and number of pages. If I go back to books and notes here, you'll see that I have the books database. I can click into it. I'm going to add an icon as well. Call it books. There we go. So now we've got our books page. Now I'm also going to create a notes page, and then we're going to connect the two. So I'm going to hit slash and I'm going to type page. All right. And we're going to call this notes. I'm going to select table and we're going to click new database. And I'll actually name this book notes just so I don't confuse it with my other notes database. And I'm going to add an icon. Let's just do this booklet here. And we'll rename this column here to note name. We already have a tags column here, which is a multi-select. It's going to allow us to add multiple different tags to sort the note by and also to search by. So we might enter something like book notes, business notes, just different tags that you want to be able to search by. If you search up here, you should be able to type in something like book, and you'll only see that row because it has book in it. Next, we're going to add another column here, and this one is going to be set to created time. And this is going to allow us to see when that note was actually created, which can be useful. If you want to sort by when the note was created, then you can do that. I'm going to rename this to date created. And we're going to give this note a name. I'm just going to call it business notes. All right, at this point, I'm going to go back to my books and notes section. So now we have a books database and we have a book notes database. So in order to connect the two of these, we're going to go into the books database here. And if I click the plus button, you'll see that I can choose from the type here, and I can go down to relation. This is the type you're going to want to select. What it's going to do from here is it's going to show you all of the other databases that you have created thus far. So if you want to see more, you can hit the show 17 more button, and that will actually show you all of your other databases. But what you're going to want to do is find the database that you want to connect, right? So we have that business notes note that we created over in our book notes database, and I want to connect that to the Outsiders because this is a business genre, right? So let's just select book notes. And then right here, it's going to ask you show on book notes. And if you turn this on, it's going to show the relation over in your notes as well. If you don't want to show the relation in your notes, that's fine. Just leave this off. I'm going to turn it on just for the sake of example. So that's actually going to create a property in both of these, a new column in both of these. So let's hit add relation and see what happens. Okay, so you'll see that it changes the name up here to book notes, and we don't have anything here yet. So you're probably thinking like, okay, what do we do from here? Well, you click into this column here, and then you'll see all of the different pages from book notes. So if I had a ton of notes in here, maybe I have a fiction notes section, and maybe I have a notes about being a better CEO section. Whatever I have in here, I can relate to this book title. So if I hit plus here, boom, now we've got business notes. And if I had more in here, I could hit the plus button on multiple. So we could have multiple related properties from the other table that connect with this book title. So now for the second part, rollups. So let's imagine that we want to see what tags are associated with this note, but we want to see it in our books database right here. Well, in that case, you would just hit the plus button, you'd hit type, and then go down to rollup. Okay, now you can't have a rollup without a relation, right? So in order to actually use the rollup, you'll need to select the relation that you want to use. So we want to relate to the business notes, and we want to pull the tags for that business notes page here. So to do that, we're just going to hit the relation button here, and then I'm going to select book notes. And as you can see, upon first inspection, it's going to give us the name of the note, which we already have here. But if I wanted to pull in the tags for this note, I can just change the property down here to tags, or I could change it to date created. So let's just change it to tags. And you'll see that it pulls over book notes and business notes because those are the tags associated with this note, and this note is associated with this book. So now I can change the name of this and I can call it note tags. And now we can view all of the information right in here, which is very useful, right? And it's also nice that I can just click right into this from here, and then we can start entering some notes on our business notes page. So that's pretty useful. Now, if I go back to books and notes, go over to book notes, you'll see that we have this relation right here. And the thing is you can actually link it from here as well. So if I wanted to link another book, I just hit the plus button there and it would link another book, right? So that is basically how rollups and relations work. All right, so if this makes sense and you're starting to understand how to use rollups and relations, just drop a quick like to thank me for making this video. Also, just comment below and let me know your thoughts on rollups and relations and how you're going to use them. Now, for those of you who are still struggling, I'm going to show you a second example, okay? Let's imagine that we have two databases. We have a recipes database and we have an ingredients database. These two databases need to connect to each other to be useful, right? What's a recipe database without the ingredients? You can't really do much with that. So I'm going to show you the second example with recipes and ingredients. So let's add a new page, and I'm just going to call this recipes and ingredients. And we're going to create a new page within this by hitting slash, typing page, hit enter. And then we're going to call this recipes database. We're going to turn it into a table, and we're going to create a new database. Okay, so now we can add a little icon, and we can give our name column the name of recipe. Okay, so we now have a column where we can enter our recipes, chicken dinner. All right, that's our recipe. And if I delete this column here, we could also add things like tags, right? So, or a select tag we could use. We could do something like course. So for this, it would be dinner, but we could also have different course types in here like lunch, breakfast. That's one way that you could kind of sort these out if you wanted to. So I'm just going to select dinner. And then let's go back to recipes and ingredients, and let's create a new page for our ingredients so that we can actually relate those ingredients over to that chicken recipe. So let's just hit slash, type page, hit enter. And here we're going to type in ingredients database. And we're going to go with the shopping cart for this one. And then let's just go ahead and select table, new database. And we're going to call this column here ingredients. So I'm going to rename it. We're going to call it ingredients. And I'm going to go ahead and just delete this. You guys can make this as complex as you want to. You could add more properties here, of course, but for now, I'm just going to add one more property, and this one is going to be an in stock or out of stock. Okay, so if something is in stock, we want to know so that we know like what items we actually need to purchase and which ones we already have for that specific meal. So in that case, we're going to call this status, and it's going to be either in stock or it's going to be out of stock. Okay, let's just make these colors appropriate. We'll do a red for the out of stock, make it urgent, and a green for the in stock. So there we go. Now we have those two statuses set. I'm going to delete these out of here just so there's no confusion. And here on ingredients, we're going to add in all of our ingredients individually. They're each going to get their own line. Now, this is also going to be kind of a cool example because you're going to get to see how to relate multiple ingredients to one recipe, because that's kind of different than relating the notes to the book, right? If you only have one note for one book, you're only getting that one example there. But in this example, I'll be able to show you how to connect like chicken breast and olive oil to one recipe, for instance. So we could type in something like chicken breasts, olive oil, and then we could type in, let's say paprika. I'm sorry if I didn't spell that right, guys. Don't roast me in the comments, please. All right, so now let's just say we have in stock, and out of stock. So this is all set up good. Now let's go back to our recipes and ingredients page, go onto our recipes database, and we're going to click the plus button. And here where it says type, we'll click. Then we'll go down to where it says relation. So hit relation and click on ingredients database. That's what we're relating to this chicken dinner, right? So ingredients database. Now, if you want to see all of the recipes that are associated with specific ingredients, you can turn this button on and you can see the relation come to fruition in the ingredients database as well. I'm going to keep this off because I don't see a huge use case for this as of right now. So I'm just going to hit add relation. And as you can see, the ingredients database gets pulled in here. I can hit this button and then I can select all the ingredients that I want to add. So we're going to select all three. Boom. And now we have our ingredients listed out right here. Now, let's say we wanted to roll up the status of these ingredients, right? We want to know, are they in stock? Are they out of stock? Well, in that case, you just hit the plus button, hit type, and you can go to rollup. Select the relation that you want to reference. We're referencing this relation, ingredients database. So I'm going to select ingredients database. And right now the property is set to ingredients. So it's going to just pull up the same thing that we're getting here. But if you change that property to status, now all of a sudden we're seeing in stock, out of stock, in stock. So we can see that paprika is out of stock because of this rollup property. That's a very useful way to use the rollup property. So when you need to know something about these related pages, right? So let's just call this status. And now we have a useful recipe database, right? Because I can look in here and I can see, let's say I have another recipe like pancakes, right? And this would be a breakfast. Now let's go over to ingredients and add some ingredients for that. Pancake mix, vanilla extract, cinnamon, eggs. Okay, so let's mark these in stock, out of stock, out of stock. Go back over to our recipes and ingredients, recipes database. Then let's just associate pancake mix, eggs, vanilla extract, and cinnamon. And as you can see, still very useful, right? So we can see that like if we wanted to make chicken dinner here, we're only missing one ingredient, paprika. But if we want to make pancakes, we're going to need to get eggs and cinnamon still. So I hope that this video has been helpful, guys. If it has, please leave a like, comment below if you still have any lingering questions. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one and we'll see you in the next one.